All right, CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell. Stay safe, Chris. And for more on the situation unfolding on the ground, make sure to check out the CBN News YouTube channel for live updates and cbnnews.com for complete coverage. All right, we turn now to David Daoud for a broader regional perspective on how today's events affect Mideast politics. David is a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. David, welcome. So let's get your reaction to this missile attack from Iran. Do you see it as a start of a wider war?
Well, that's hard to assess. There's been a wider war going on, though, since October 8th, really, when in the day after the October 7th massacre that Hamas launched in Gaza, the rest of Iran's resistance actors, a collection of militias and forces that are ideologically aligned with, of course, subordinate to Iran, primarily Hezbollah, began attacking Israel. What we saw today is a continuation of that war that has been going on. Now, of course, wars can intensify, and this was an extreme step that was taken by Iran, but ultimately it ended up being largely symbolic. Now, the Israelis have said, according to reports, that irrespective of the damage that an Iranian attack would cause, irrespective of any harm, irrespective of the size, that they would respond massively against Iran. And according to Wall Street Journal, the Israelis had apparently threatened to potentially strike Iran's nuclear and oil facilities in response. Now, whether this is a threat meant to deter any Iranian action or whether it's serious indication of Israeli action remains to be seen. After the attack, the Israeli Air Force said that they would be attacking tonight strongly throughout the Middle East. So we will see what the Israeli response will be.
David, Iran says what you called an extreme step by Iran with these missile attacks. They said that this was in retaliation for killing former Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. So where does his death leave Hezbollah organizationally, and what are the implications? You mentioned a little bit, but more broadly regionally.
Well, Hassan Nasrallah, he wasn't a great religious scholar, nor was he a brilliant military commander. What he was for Hezbollah was an icon and a visionary. This is a man that took Hezbollah through decades of some of its most difficult historical junctures, and in almost every one of those historical junctures made the right choice, with the exception, I would say, of October 8th. That was the decision that he decided to attack Israel after Hamas did so. There's a straight line from that decision to his demise. Now, without this visionary, Hezbollah is going to suffer a setback. They are a strong organization. There is a chain of succession. We don't know what the chain of succession is now. There are a lot of question marks about who has survived the Israeli attacks, including his heir apparent and maternal cousin, Hashim Safiuddin. But Hezbollah is an organization. It is not a ragtag militia. At the same time, whomever succeeds him to the helm of Hezbollah is not going to have the same aura that Hassan Nasrallah did. And that aura helped the organization, every time he'd come up and speak, frame even setbacks as an advantage for the organization. Without that, they're going to suffer some setback, but I wouldn't count them or discount them entirely just yet.
All right, David Daoud with FDD. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you so much for having me.
And back here at home, sheer devastation in the southeast. Hurricane Helene now ranking as one of the deadliest storms to ever hit the United States. Right now, more than 130 deaths are confirmed across 6 states. The most devastated area is western North Carolina, where hundreds are still missing. Drone video captures the extent of the devastation in Asheville. Many roads are impassable, isolating residents and complicating rescue efforts. In Buncombe County, more than 600 people are unaccounted for. Meanwhile, internet and phone outages are cutting victims off from the rest of the world. The CBN's Operation Blessing is on the ground, passing out hygiene kits, food boxes, and supplies.
These will go to families who've been without power for days. So we get to come alongside them in the body of Christ and provide it at a local school that has been turned into a shelter.
Helene hit Florida's Gulf Coast last week as a Category 4 hurricane, moving through Georgia, the Carolinas, and Tennessee. On Monday, former President Donald Trump and evangelist Franklin Graham visited affected areas in Valdosta, Georgia. President Biden is expected to visit North Carolina tomorrow and promises emergency disaster funds for affected regions.
Coming up, Tim Walz and J.D. Vance get ready to face off at tonight's vice presidential debate. That and more on immigration when Faith Nation returns.
Try natin tong hotdog na bossing.
Bossing sarap.
Bossing taka.
Welcome back to Faith Nation. It's another debate night, this time between the two vice presidential nominees. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance will meet in Manhattan for their first and only showdown. The Harris campaign is downplaying expectations with reports that Walz is nervous and an inexperienced national debater. Meanwhile, former President Trump says he's confident Vance will display he has the edge. Still, both candidates have work to do. Majority voters believe neither are qualified to step up and serve as president if needed.
All right, and I think we have Tony Perkins standing by. Tony Perkins, of course, is the president of the Family Research Council, and he joins us now. So, Tony, we want to kind of skip ahead here. I don't know if Tony can hear us.
I can hear you.
Okay, and Tony, we want to skip ahead here a little bit to immigration and the situation there. Top issue for voters. Groups like the SBC, World Relief, and Faith and Freedom Coalition are now weighing in with that urging two nominees to implement biblical principles. Sorry for that messy question. I guess my question is your reaction to this call for biblical principles when it comes to immigration and both candidates.
Okay. You want me to answer it?
Yes, if you would, please.
I think it's the appropriate request is to have a biblical response to many of these issues. And in fact, I think the main thing driving this is the rhetoric surrounding immigration. And what we need is understand humanity and speak in ways that are kind and compassionate toward other individuals. And I think part of the rhetoric has gotten so charged that we've lost the idea that all men, women, and children are created in the image of God. We can still have policy differences and seek to enforce those laws as they should be. But we need to tone down the rhetoric. And that is not just in immigration, but it's across the board in a lot of areas.
Probably wise counsel for, like you said, a lot of different areas when it comes to policy. Tony, we know that FRC's Pray, Vote, Stand Summit starts this week on Thursday right here in Washington. Who are you targeting as far as attendees? And remind us, what's the goal?
John, we are going after what are called safe, spiritually active, governance-engaged conservatives. Those are individuals who are involved in the political process because of their
description nito sa Hanay B. Sulat ang letra ng tamang sagot at sapat lang.
Letter lang.
Ito ilalagay dito pang ano sa
Letter A. Ano yung letter A?
Pagkanin. Kasa na natin yan. Saka yung ulam.
Oo. Nagluto.
ito si ito. Ito si
Ano yung A? Basahin mo lang ito. Sa komentar, paglilinis ng uri ng nakasalan gamit ang tubig. Ano yung C? Number 4? Saan yung number 4?
pagdalaw sa sementeryo o pang mag-alis ng bulaklak at kandila sa iyong
Kasi
mga
pag-alala ng mga
pag-anak.
Isano panganakan ng Jesus. Dali lang. Ha? Ano yan? Number 1 E? Ha?
Number 2. Finish na.
Dito pa oh.
Ano pa isang? Ano yan? Basahin mo. Piliin. Basahin mo.
Piliin sa kahon ang kaugaliang inilalarawan. Isulat ang sagot sa patlang.
Pagiging magalang. Magiliw na pagtanggap sa bisita. Bayanihan.
Pagiging magalang, magiliw na
Naligo po. Pasok po naman. Naligo. Naligo. Naligo po.
Ha?
Naligo.
Maliligo sige. Hintay ko siya matapos maligo.
Sige, answeran mo na.
Kasi gusto ko siya kausapin na kasi meron magpang bukas yung siguro mag-harvest.
Harvest na.
Oo. Meron siya na kung sana pwede siya maisingit.
Ilang hektarya po?
Ayun, yun to sa panay isang hektarya no, sa share ko.
Ilang sako po yun?
Hindi ko alam kasi bukas pa lang malalaman. First time. Kaya nag-trial muna na yung year na ito.
Number 1. Pagiging magaliw na tanggap sa bisita bayanihan. At mamano kay Lolo Jose, ang apo pag umalis.
pagiging magalang.
Yes, correct. Alam mo naman pala eh. Merinda po. Merinda.
Sige, hindi. May gusto lang akong tarmi sa kanya.
Tumutulong sa pagluto ang kababaihan para sa feeding program ng barangay. Magiliw
Bayanihan.
bayanihan.
Manood po kayo ng balita?
Hindi na.
Naglakad lang po kayo?
Okay, si Uncle
Ano dyan po?
Dali kami sa iba.
Ito, pinapalitan ni nanay ng magandang sapin ng kama at ng pundan ang unan na gagamitin ng aming bisitang kamag-anak mula sa Amerika. Magiliw na pagtanggap na sa bitis.
Napapasok lang ba niya?
Opo, makapasok lang.
Napapasok lang. Traffic kasi doon mo. Ang traffic.
Saan po?
Dito sa may... Wala ka rito sa may... Yung mga opisina dito sa Balili. Ang mga papunta ng iba.
Sama-sama.
Alas 5.
Sa mga naglinis ng kanal at kalsada ang mga tao sa barangay mabisa. Magilaw na pagtanggap. Pagiging magalang.
Hindi. Sama-sama. You know what is bayanihan? Bayanihan is, anong tawag sa English ng bayanihan is, group. Sama-sama means group bayanihan. Bayanihan.
Nakanda ng masasarap na pagkain sa bahay ni Kapitan para sa mga dayuhang dadalo sa pista ng komunidad. Pagiging magalang. Bayanihan.
Hindi rin. Ano ba na? Anong hindi mo naintindihan dito? What is dayuhan? Sa foreigner, naghahanda.
Dito ko na lang sa ito sa labas. Yung na po ay uncle mo sa dito sa
Magilaw na pagtanggap sa bisita.
Yes.
Kasi ano eh, foreigner.
Visitor yan. You need to understand convert mo sa English. Bayanihan is assignment natin. Tingin dito sa assignment natin.